from Fox News. We were just talking to him the other day about another incident, and here we are again. It's a new day, and it's a new tragedy. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
It's now to the point where we have homegrown terrorism involving ISIS, but now we have this new homegrown terrorism, and it seems that it's the crazies who are inspired by this Black Lives Matter situation. We don't know for sure yet, but that seems to be where we're leaning right now.
Well, yeah, I think the one connectivity that's starting to show itself, and it's a little early, and I hope to God we don't see it as a trend, but the fact of the matter is we know you can radicalize a person via the Internet, that you can provide direction and training and ramp up their ideology and the rhetoric and all that via the Internet and via remote contact. And so knowing that the terrorists have done that so well with ISIL, it's not out of the question that you could have someone in a domestic organization doing the same thing to the same age group, same kind of individuals that are looking for something that's, to be oriented towards a goal, demented as it may be.
Are we in a position now where, is it the Internet, or is this, I remember and I've always wanted to talk to a terrorist, to a security specialist on this, but when I was a kid, the craze was, back in the 70s, all of a sudden streaking became a craze. People running naked all over the place, and everybody did it for a while, but beyond that, bomb scares became a craze. Schools were hit by bomb scares, at least in our area. I don't know if it was a nationwide thing, but, there we are at the end of the Vietnam War. You've got Nixon and everything, and all of a sudden bomb scares, and it spread. Talk about, you say, I hope this isn't a trend, but how things spread back then versus today, and you worry about this trend, this copycat, how these people end up being inspired. Can you talk? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember all that activity too. And the interesting point was, because we didn't have the Internet, it took a while for it to spread.
Right.
It was kind of interesting that you'd see something as a fad in the East Coast, and then it would be on the West Coast, and then like a year later it'd be in the Midwest. It was slow,
right,
area to area, but it did happen, but it was kind of interesting. It was also stuff that you could get you in trouble, but nothing that would cause serious injury or death.
There really wasn't a bomb. It was a bomb scare. There was no bomb.
That's right. So now what we have, and this is rather interesting, I run into a lot of people, young people in particular, that really don't have a good handle on death. They really don't quite understand the potential of dying, and that you only die once. And I see it in other behaviors, not just this kind of attack against society, but other behaviors where they don't have a clue that what they're doing can get them killed, and they're not going to pop back up and go to round two.
Yeah.
So there is some potential there, but we certainly know that they can influence people on the recruitment side. And in this particular case, what I'm concerned about is we have another young black male. He's just turned 29 on his birthday yesterday. Not too many 29-year-olds are getting ready to kill themselves. This guy knew going out the door in the morning he was going to die. A normal criminal, if they get in a gunfight with the police, are doing a crime like robbing a bank.
Sure.
And police roll up, they may exchange gunfire, but it's for the purpose to escape. This individual wasn't committing a crime. He just went and caused a commotion to get the police to respond so he could engage them in a gunfight. And then after shooting the original arriving officers, he hung around to just keep shooting it out until eventually he was killed.
Yeah.
So that aspect is very much like the individual in Dallas. This guy had past military background and training, just like the individual in Dallas. Interesting point, he did it during the daylight, wasn't using the cover of night. He did it right out in the daylight, right where everybody could see it.
Yeah.
And he just kept going until they killed him. And so it's very concerning to me that I see some likeness. And the interesting point's going to be to see if there's any associations between these two individuals and other hate groups or groups that would have motivated them, trained and directed them to commit the killings of the police, just like ISIL trains, motivates, and directs the remote agents that carry out terrorist attacks.
And it almost seems that that any protest, and you see the video over and over again of the police officer shooting that man in Baton Rouge, and then the protests. But what is happening is there are crazy people, it seems, and I'm just kind of loosely calling them crazy people, that are being inspired to go off the deep end here.
Well, it's also another issue we have with the public, that we don't use video to convict people. The video doesn't show that the individual killed in Baton Rouge. And I'm not saying it was a justifiable killing or not, but no one's talking about the fact he did have a gun on him, that it was a black store owner that called the police because he pointed the gun at him, and that when the police told him to not move his hands towards his pocket, he didn't comply. There's a lot more to that story than just what's being flashed all over the place on a short video that shows the end result. So,
well, we had a police officer here really look at and examine that video, who deals in training, and said that it almost looked as if that they clearly knew, because they were really trying to hold on to the pant area where the gun was in the pocket to basically trap it there. But it looked like the man's hand was to the pocket, and his hand escaped basically. So his take on it was they didn't know if he had a gun in his hand that was now free or not. They had no choice. In his opinion, he felt they had no choice but to shoot him.
And I've seen and have been involved in situations where it happens so fast, it's less than half a second, from nothing to a gunshot coming at you. So my point is this: I don't know, and neither does anybody else who saw that videotape. None of them know what happened, because the official investigation is not done yet. But here's the reality: the justice system that we have, and the law enforcement system that we have, and the laws that we have led us from a very dark point in history to where we are today, where minorities all over the country are in a much, much better position than they've ever been in the past. And so to jump on that system and say, burn it down because we have a couple of incidents, which we're not even sure if they're justifiable or not, or if they're wrong. And if they're wrong, we'll prosecute the officers, and they'll be going to jail.
Yeah.
So, the scenario is everybody's freaking out about this, not even knowing what really happened. And that's the concern that I have. The underlying point to that is there's groups looking to cause a flashpoint, and they're grabbing at whatever they can to try to make that happen. And as a former chief, I know things go wrong on the street, and I know guys make mistakes. And sometimes it's negligence, sometimes it's accidental, sometimes it's purposeful. But we have a system to process all that, and it's not rioting, it's not killing other police officers, it's not killing the person who's coming to your family's aid in the middle of the night when there's a home invasion.
Right.
You don't burn the whole system down because of a couple of incidents, and we don't even know if they're mishaps yet.
This goes back to that trend. You worry about a trend. It inspires people. They're a little bit off the deep end, and then they finally make the move, and here we are in the midst of ambush shooting. It's just terrible. Kevin, I hope we don't have to talk to you like this again. Hopefully this stops. But, going into this convention right now, are you fearful right now in for Cleveland?
Well, Cleveland's got a whole bunch of other ramifications. Cleveland has international impact, so you got the international threat as well as the domestic.
Right.
But if someone can make it look like the authorities are heavy-handed, Cleveland would be a good place to do it. Because of the factor that a lot of them know what the candidate on that side is going to stand, and he's even started talking about he's the law and order candidate. So that would be an interesting place to make it happen. But here's the other side of it: Cleveland has to be under control. That is our democracy. That is the pin that keeps us from going to anarchy. Is our electoral process. So we can't have that one get out of control.
I agree. Kevin Mellott, as always, thanks so much.
Thank you.
From Fox News. He's good. I like him. And I didn't know he was a former chief. I guess he must be a former chief of police. Listen, birthdays here on the 18th of July. Happy birthday to Jim Rondinelli.
Yeah.
Who's celebrating today, Allison, right next to you.
Thank you.
And Jim, Christine is celebrating a birthday today.
The big 3-0.
Yeah.
Again, for the
what are
third
you?
time.
Are you 56?
Six.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that old.
Oh, thanks.
My word.
I'm just
That's why
a
I
young
said the big
spring.
3-0.
I'm a spring chicken here.
Oh, yeah,
at
you are, Belle.
50, whatever I am. 51 or 50. Am I 51?
I don't even know.
It's not a good sign if you can't remember your own age.
Well, it's been since 30. I can't remember a thing. Jim Rondinelli, happy birthday. Jim, James, glad you're in here this morning. I'm sure you're glad, too. Had to get up early. Connie Castellano, happy birthday as well. And a couple of belateds. Tim Brown Sr., Timothy Brown Sr. from over the weekend, and James Spagnolo, I believe is how it's pronounced. James, Jim, and Timothy, Tim. Happy birthday. The cake goes to, let's give it to Connie Castellano from, I don't know where Connie is now, but she gets the cake from the Florentine Pastry Shop on Bleecker Street in Utica.